Hello everybody and welcome. Today is finally the day that we got PokeTude here and I finally, got the recording session together. It's been like 3 weeks, I feel. But we're finally here. We're finally doing the Paths and PokeTude comment videos. So PokeTude, I'm sure a lot of people already know who you are, but if you want to introduce yourself, be more than welcome to.
Hi, my name's PokeTude. I'm a coach currently competing in Contenders with Altiora. I've competed at like the highest level outside of Overwatch League for probably the past 2 years now.
Yeah, it's been a bit. I mean, I've only been there for like a year, but definitely distinguished within at least the tier 2 scene and tier 3 as well, because I think you worked your way out of that.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely learn more about that as the comment video goes on. But I'm happy that you're here. He's pretty much taught me everything I know. So I mean, if you like all the guides, specifically the Baptiste guide, I'm pretty sure that's like verbatim everything that he taught me when I was actually playing in attack mode and competing. So definitely someone that you want to listen to. So I mean, if you're ready, I'm ready to get into this and just start going away.
Yeah, let's get started.
All right. So first question, I'm going to ask you a few questions just so that we can get, everyone can get a chance to know each other better. How did you get started in the Path to Pro, coaching, playing? I want to hear your origin story because I don't even know that, to be quite honest.
Yeah, that's a good question. So for me, I started off as a player. I think a lot of people do, right? It was probably 4 years ago now. I was playing Overwatch like very casually at the time. I was maybe I would say gold to be optimistic, but realistically I was probably playing at a silver level at the time. And I opened battle.net one day. It was over the summer, I remember this very vividly, and there was this ad for something called Overwatch Open Division. And
they actually like advertised it back in the day? I didn't even know that.
It was on the battle.net client. It was like where like the streamers would show up, where it would say like X is live for like the rewards and stuff.
Yeah.
They had one for that, and it said that you could get $10 for competing in this tournament and just not even winning. I was like, that kind of sounds like fun, right? So I looked for a team. I played main support, so this was back during Goats meta, or maybe even a little bit before Goats meta was like super popular. So I was playing a lot of Lucio. And so I don't know, Lucio was my favorite hero at the time, still kind of is. And then from there, I competed in a small tournament called Owlet. It's no longer around, but there are a lot of more popular faces in the scene. If you watch Overwatch League, Necra actually was a major person behind that tournament at the time, and so I competed in that. And then eventually, I didn't feel like I could go any higher as a player, but I still really loved the game, so I swapped to coaching. Worked with some lower diamond teams at the time. But at my peak at playing, I was probably playing at around 3.5 to 3.8, but with the occasional like 4K scrim. And then, for coaching, I went from diamond teams to regen, which is
oh really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I went directly from there to regen as an assistant coach, and I was at the 4500 level from there.
That's pretty impressive. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I don't really know how you get into coaching, and how you just get kind of picked up. It's a very weird thing to me because like you can be a gold player but be like the best coach in the world, and it's like, how do you even get scouted there? But I mean, I guess that would probably be a better idea or a better topic to talk about and discuss in a later video. Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, very distinguished. Yeah, you worked your way up as a player first, but then it was ultimately, coaching is just, for some people, it's definitely a difficult task. So just because PokeTude is a good coach and it was only a 3800 player, I do not want to see anything in the comments trying to talk bad on PokeTude. PokeTude's the GOAT. But okay, let's start going into something that maybe everyone can kind of relate to. The Overwatch 2 beta, when this releases, is probably going to go down. I think it's on May 17th, which is on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Would be wrong in saying that, but it's going down. The servers are shutting down until the next beta. I mean, you've been doing scrims for what, Contenders, for Altiora, Pugs, watching everything. I need one character from tank, DPS, support. I mean, one or two that you think are probably the most strong right now that people should consider getting into if they're not already comfortable with in Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2.
Yeah, I would say right now, especially for tank, like if you don't know how to play Winston or Monkey, like you really need to get on that, because like he's been such a consistent, reliable pick for a lot of top teams all throughout the beta from everything that I've seen, and quite frankly, with how oppressive his bubble can be, I really don't think that's going away anytime soon. Or the fact that, you know, he's a sniper now. So
Sniper Monkey.
Yeah. And then for DPS, I think right now it's by far and away Genji. Just the ability to get those follow-up kills and really just get those dash resets is really strong. And he's a really oppressive pick, especially into snipers. I'd be interested to see how that one changes, but at least right now, definitely Genji.
Yeah.
And then for supports, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
Especially, yeah.
With all the changes that are coming alive, it's definitely difficult to pinpoint one. But go on.
Yeah. Especially considering the fact that there's going to be a patch next, Tuesday?
Or I mean, it might be Thursday too. We don't know 100%
but
yet.
As of right now, I would probably say either Ana or Zen. I think Zen with the new buffs recently with the kick, yeah, it's a little bit of a meme change, but it really does a lot for increasing his survivability as well as like increasing his threat too. Like I think in a recent developer update they said that he has like a 10% higher rate of securing kills just with using his kick. It's actually insane just how easy it is to line up those shots.
Yeah.
And so like I think right now it's been kind of a toss-up of whether or not he really has become stronger, but I think it's really just what's better for your current situation, where it's like if you're able to get those like high frag kills and like stay alive on Zen, he's 100% the better option.
Yeah.
But if not, like if you need that higher utility of Ana, then it's really just picking the one that fits best. But either one of those is really a good option.
Yeah, I'm really not in love with the Zen changes. I don't know. 200. Whenever I see a character go from 200 to 225, I just look at that as a bad omen. I mean, Cassidy.
It's definitely scary.
The fact that I have to 4-shot a Zen now as Ana is a little bit concerning to me, and I don't really agree with it. And the kick is just, you know, the added cherry on top. The fact that I think it boops farther than Lucio's boop, or at least
it does.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's kind of stupid. That's just me. I mean, I'm also an Ana player and want to see Ana meta at least once for me to play in competitive and maybe get some SR. But, you know, I digress. I mean, from my point of view, I kind of agree with you. I think Winston's very strong because of that bubble. I feel like as Ana, if the Winston has bubble and we don't break it, I pretty much just lose. I think Doomfist, though, is also kind of strong. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like Doomfist kind of gets countered by Ana pretty hard, because if Doomfist tries to block, then Ana sleeps, and it's just kind of free. But now that Zen might be better than Ana in some situations, maybe Doomfist is better into Zen. I don't know how that interaction works, because I don't play in Tier 2 right now, so I'll take your word for it. But yeah, Genji, incredibly strong. Did they change his damage?
No.
Or is it just because he works better without a tank in his face?
As far as I can tell, he received no changes from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2, besides that damage roll passive, where he's 10% faster, so he's just able to get in the backline faster. And
there's no stun from Brigitte, just, you know.
Yeah, and Genji has always been a very oppressive force on checking flank angles, and considering the fact that there isn't that second tank, flanks are a lot more common and a lot more popular. So being able to have your Genji there being that major threat on the side is like really strong, and I think that's why he's seeing so much playtime right now.
I mean, absolutely. And then in terms of supports, I mean, again, it's going to be a toss-up. We've seen the developer updates with them talking about wanting to make Mercy's super jump just a thing. I don't know. We'll figure that out when we get there. I don't know if I necessarily agree with everything you said, but this isn't a drama video. This is a comment video. So let's get into the comments. But yeah, let's start this all off with, I mean, I'm just gonna read it out loud and then we can go from there. All right. So, hey Paz, hope this question sounds articulate. We shall see. I want to carry as many games as I can leading into Overwatch 2. One overlooked aspect to certain characters is how much time invested to that character it takes for their ability to carry. For example, Widowmaker's ability to carry takes hundreds of hours. So in terms of like, maybe like skill ceiling, like how hard is it to achieve that, I think is what you're getting at here. And then which role between tank, DPS, and support do you believe can impact and carry most games with the most efficient time invested instead of grinding 1,000 hours, for example, on Widowmaker? That's a hard one. Especially since Overwatch 2 is so new. I mean, maybe you have something different to say on this, but I feel like from a completely like from the book and like what would make sense on paper perspective, I think tank definitely has, in theory, will have more impact since it's just you. But I kind of feel like every role has a lot of impact in a sense. I think the only role that definitely has lost some impact power in terms of hard carrying would be supports, because they were completely busted in Overwatch 1. I still think though, in a way, in Overwatch 2, they still could carry just as much just by being better at like surviving and doing things. I don't know really what to say here. I feel like every role has almost gotten better at carrying, but in a weird sort of way where you're not going to just see it directly in your face, but they can just kind of do it. DPS might be an exception there, but I don't know if you have a different answer to that, Poke.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple things to consider here, right? I think you're definitely right where every player is going to feel like they have more ability to carry, because if you think about it, like one person's players now resulting 20% of the team's actions rather than what, like 15% or something like that. I don't know my math.
6 or something.
Yeah, right. Like you just have a higher percentage of your team's overall resources that you can interact with, right? And so I think when you're looking at this idea of like what you're looking to grind, I think there's kind of two different like realms that you have to consider. You have to consider your like mechanics, so that would be like your ability to aim, because I think like on support, right, like if you're playing Ana, you need to be able to hit your shots to a certain extent, right? But then also it's a question of, are you just dying because you're like playing in the front line, right? So it's this idea of like game sense versus mechanics. I think Paz, what you were kind of getting at is like, if you have a baseline like idea of mechanics, theoretically I would argue that tank probably requires the most game sense, but and probably maybe the least mechanics, but there's still like a fair balance between those. I would probably lean towards tank, but I think if you have like really good mechanics, it might be something where you might consider DPS over tank, and it's like just playing to your strengths and evaluating what you think would be best for you, if that makes sense.
mean, at the end, from what I'm looking at, it seems like instead of grinding thousands of hours of just getting better at mechanics, is kind of what you're not into. I think characters that are, maybe the tanks, or maybe like Lucio or Mercy, characters that need a lot more game sense, especially in Overwatch 2. Those characters need a lot more, you need a lot more brain power to make sure that you're not just feeding, because it's very glaringly obvious when you're not doing your job. But at the end of the day, I know it's kind of cringe and cliche to say, but you just have to play what you enjoy, because if you don't play what you enjoy, you're gonna hate it, and your improvement is going to be terrible. It's not gonna go well. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, you're not gonna want to put the time into it. And at the end of the day, if you really want to be the best you can be, you do have to put thousands of hours into literally every character. Just because Winston doesn't take as much aim as Widowmaker does not mean at all that you can just get away with playing Winston and just existing, because I would argue Winston is still harder than Widowmaker at the end of the day. I still think that character is amongst the hardest in the game. And we won't go into that debate because I don't want to make this video an hour long. But I mean, I hope this answers your question. I'm okay to go with the next comment. Are we good to go?
Yeah, no, I think that really sums it up.
So, from Not Benji, by the way, great comment last video. I really appreciated that one. But your question is, what can you do to get yourself towards your goal of being a Contenders player coming from low elo in Overwatch 1? Wow, this one is tough. Poke, you're literally in Contenders, so I'm gonna let you speak from a coach perspective first, and then maybe I can give you what I think.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to note, right, is that, like, that sort of climb doesn't come overnight. Like,
No.
if you if
No.
you look at, like, some of the current Contenders players or in Overwatch League, like, you can even just go into the top 500 leaderboard, pick some accounts that are public, and go back to, like, their season 1 elo. You might find that they're a lot lower than what they are now. Yeah, some I know some of those players might try and hide it. Yeah, but like, the way in which they got to where they are was through effective practice and a lot of hours.
Yes.
Like,
tons of hours.
If you are looking to make that climb, you have to recognize that you are, like, you can't have your goal set to be unrealistically high. Like, realistically, when I was competing, my goal was just to get to diamond. That was my goal, and then once I hit that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep scrimming up, and, like, I'm gonna scrim and try and hit 4K scrims eventually, right? But, like, my idea was master, right? And then when I did start coaching, I started coaching diamond because that's what I knew. But then, like, when I felt like I hopped into a 4.5K scrim and I felt comfortable there, so I kept going there, and then it's always going to be that slow build, that slow progression. Like, for me, that grind for coaching took what, 2.5 years?
Yeah. And I would consider that a short amount of time, all things considered. But move on.
That's considered a pretty short amount of time overall, but, like, 4 years to get from low elo, and realistically, even that's still pretty fast. So, yeah, I would just be willing to put in the time and effort, really. I don't know.
Yeah, I think effort is definitely a big thing that you have to consider here. Here's the thing. I think a lot of people understand that getting to Contenders is hard, but I feel like a lot of people that are from lower elos don't realize how hard it actually is to be a Contenders player. It is really freaking hard. Like, even being a tier 3 player, while I might think that's pretty simple, it's really hard to get to that point. And you have to understand that, like, yeah, being a Contenders player, you gotta be a different breed, and you gotta grow a lot. Here's the thing. I'm not even Contenders player. I think there was a point in which if I continued to grind, maybe I could have gotten to that point. But even then, even with my current skill, I'm by no means a Contenders player. The thing is, what you want is to work towards your goal. I personally started in, like, Plat, Season 1, equivalent of Plat or high gold, low Plat, as a Genji one-trick. And I worked my way up to 4400, playing in, I would say, Contenders Trials level scrims every now and then. Here's the thing. The thing that you want to do is you don't want to get super hyper fixated, like Poke said, on that Contenders goal. It's taking it step by step. It's okay to have that big goal in mind, but you want to make sure that you're like, okay, I want to get to Diamond, I want to get to Masters, I want to get to GM. Those, though, are going to be a lot faster than getting through, like, 4.1, 4.2, 4.3. It takes a lot of mental fortitude, and if you want to hit me up on Discord, I think it would almost be better to kind of help you out get through that, as opposed to a whole video about it, because, I mean, that's a hard one. It takes a lot of time, for sure, and I'm not even the best to ask about that because I'm not there. But I mean, I'm glad the PokeTude's here because, you know, you put in the hours, you put in the grind, and PokeTude's a different breed too. I'm not gonna say it's impossible. What I will say is that if you do want to get into that goal, it's a serious task, and you got to be, like, willing to put in the time. Which, I mean, I think's possible. But I mean, I think we covered that one. If you have any other questions, just let us know down below. But I don't want to keep this video too long, so let's keep going. Cujo, which I'm pretty sure you actually VOD reviewed a few months ago, his Lucio. Do you think Overwatch 1 ranks will translate into Overwatch 2 ranks? Would key concepts transfer over, or would new concepts be introduced with 5v5? Do you actually know if the ranks are going to translate over?
What do you mean?
Or like or is that, like, under a leak that you can't say.
Are you talking about MMR resets?
Yes.
Or I have no idea.
Okay.
I have not been told anything about
so
that.
we're gonna pray to Papa Jeff, rest in peace, Papa Jeff, that I personally want an MMR reset. I think this game freaking needs it, because if I see more supports from Overwatch 1 that are GM being an Overwatch 2 GM, whew, that's gonna be a problem. No hate, but some players are going to struggle without a Brigitte following them around all the time. In terms of key concepts, I feel like fundamentally, Overwatch, this might be a hot take. I don't think it's changed too much. I feel like the way that Overwatch 2 plays is how high-level players, like I'm talking like I feel like that's how it plays. In terms of aggression is Ana. In terms of overall aggression, I feel like it needs to be more aggressive. Okay, homie saying what face?
This might be
prove me wrong.
That might be a bit of a hot take.
Okay, hot take.
I do agree that a lot of the key concepts typically transfer over, though I think everybody's had to make those adjustments.
Oh, absolutely.
Even at the highest level. Like support is still dramatically different from what it was in Overwatch 1. Like it feels it feels like you're playing 2 ranks above what you should be, where you're just constantly getting pressured by people who feel like they are better than you, but they aren't.
I can feel that.
It's just that like support feels that weak right now, in my opinion. Going back to something that you asked like a little bit ago about like MMR reset, I do believe that they actually mentioned an overhaul to the rank system as an explanation for why there isn't ranked in the beta, though. You might want to look into that. I believe it was in a developer update, though.
Yeah. We can only really wait and see. I think in the next beta, though, there's probably going to be some competitive. I feel like they've gotten enough hate on Twitter.
Yeah.
That they're probably going to put in some form of a ranked game mode.
Yeah. Overall, though,
go on.
I would say that I think Overwatch 1 ranks will probably translate pretty well. You might see a little bit of fluctuation, but I wouldn't expect it to be insane. Because I think one thing that you need to keep in mind is that idea of like game sense is gonna really transfer over a lot. So if you're struggling with game sense in Overwatch 1, I think you're gonna continue to struggle in Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
And maybe even more so, because it's even more punishing.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying about supports is definitely true. I'm saying it's not too much different than Overwatch 1, but it's just, as support at least, it does feel pretty bad at times. I feel like it's not. I feel like part of the reason why it feels bad is because, like, let's say this is here. Let me get this on a camera. You probably can't see this, but let's just say at the top, there's an average line in the middle. At the top of that, like above that, was kind of like, wow, Overwatch 1 supports are overpowered and it feels like way too strong. And then we got put down a peg below the average line of a balance, quote unquote, and now we're just getting absolutely dumpstered, and it feels really bad when in reality I feel like it's not as okay. I'm getting a little bit too far. Whatever.
I actually do think it's as bad as I think it is still somewhat as bad as what people are saying, because I've seen it all the way up the ladder.
Maybe it's just because I've been playing quick play for the past month, and I've played pugs with my community where there's like maybe 4.5 players at a time, and not playing in Contenders streams.
Yeah, even
I will say though,
level,
it does kind of suck. Even with those, then okay, maybe I'm just talking at my ass, you know. And you know what? Maybe Overwatch. I mean, in terms of new concepts, though, I think we're getting a little bit too far. I think new concepts. Maybe there's going to be some more, but I think to a baseline, a lot of what was in Overwatch 1 will still apply to Overwatch 2. Can we agree on that?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to the next. Let's move on to the next one here. All right, does Brig play the same way now or different? Throughout the beta, just holding W and flanking with Brig has been working wonders, but that is against randoms and not teams. I haven't played a single game with Brigitte, so I'm gonna let you take this one.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think Brig has actually maintained somewhat of a similar role, but I think there's definitely a higher threat presence of being able to flank with Brig, but I think that's probably only really feeling successful in quick play. Like it's kind of like how like you might see the occasional on a flank. You can do that. It's just it's not really going to be viable against higher level teams or like in competitive play.
You've
Yeah,
seen I'm sure you've seen my rat spot on Midtown. On Twitter.
Yeah,
yeah. That's not. That could work.
It can work. It's just it's not the ideal.
Not consistent.
Right?
It's not consistent. In my opinion. I still think it could work.
I would say Brig probably plays pretty similar, with the only difference being that she tends to be a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
In the sense that like you need to play for damage more than like to try and deter them. So like because Bash does damage instead of like actual stun, you can't play as reactively, because if you do, you'll just get run over. And just she's a lot squishier than before. So it's like you have to be very mindful of how you play.
Yeah, that's kind of how I was feeling. I don't think you're going to be flanking as Brig. I mean, I guess you could, but I still think she's going to play similarly.
Yeah.
I don't think she's a flanker. I still think she's weaker compared to Lucio in terms of having a main support, but at the same time, I don't 100% agree with that statement, because I still think in some situations she could be better, but I mean, that's not what the question is here. I still think she plays similar here. I feel comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And let's go to the next one. Do you think tanks with shields are still viable? If so, which ones? The character you're looking for is Winston, if that's what you're looking for in terms of a shield. Do we need to go next here? Or do we need anything other? Like, I don't know if there's any other good explanation for this.
I would say the Winston shield's still impressive. I think you can also consider Sigma, depending on maps.
I haven't seen. I mean, yeah, depending on maps, like Circuit Royale or
Circuit Royale.
I think Sigma would be good there, to an extent.
Yeah, you're looking for like places where you can play for spam value. I've seen a couple Sigmas on like Route 66. I don't think it's that great, but
I could kind of see it, but
yeah,
Doomfist and Monkey are just so good right now. Yeah,
I wouldn't play Ryan unless you're just trying to shield bot. He's not. He's a very different.
What
tank.
do you mean? The Sigma tank, or I can't say Sigma tank. The Alpha tank 1v1 on King's Row. No Reinhardt.
No.
Come on, guys.
I don't know about that one.
Tanks are not defined by their shields. They never really have been, in my opinion.
Reinhardt is now.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Well, yes. What I'm saying is like the tank role is not tank is shield. Tank is much more. I'm not gonna. We're gonna talk about this for days because we always do that. But tank is not defined by shields. It is defined by space making, creation, maintaining. Very weird abstract concepts to most players. So I would pick the tank you're playing based off of different things than just shields. And I would urge you to think about it more like, what does the tank provide, rather than this tank has shield, this tank better. Maybe at lower elos that'll work in Overwatch 2 when it comes out. I mean, maybe just having a shield would be nice, but I mean, if you want the tank with shields, play Winston, okay? Like, Winston's just so strong right now.
Yeah.
Sniper Monkey. But moving on here. The ping button is a new feature. There probably isn't a one-and-done binding for it, but is it possible some bindings for ping that are more optimal? Okay, I know a lot of... you might not have a big say on this. Is the ping system, like, big in scrims? Like, is it actually...
Yes.
Okay, I was thinking it was, but in what sense? In what sense is it? Before I go on to the binding, in what sense does the ping feature like change things? How? I don't know.
They are used everywhere. At all levels of play, they should be used everywhere. I think pings are probably one of the best things that have been added to this game, and I will stand on that rock.
Okay, like how many pings per second?
I would probably say 7 to 8 pings per team fight. I don't know if I can give you a per second.
Here's the thing. Okay, I agree with that.
That's as a team. That's as a team.
Yes.
Sorry.
I think the ping system is very strong and it's very useful. Is there a specific point in which pinging actually deters on your your mechanics or deters. I guess that's just like get better, lol.
The,
but is there a point where you're pinging too much that it's actually degrading?
So the main reason why you ping is for scouting or to show somebody where they are. Right?
Okay,
so
that makes total sense. Yeah, I mean, I'm not even. I thought you were saying like, yo, defend here, attack there, like chests and shit. You know what I mean?
The only pings that I have really seen have been the pretty common just scouting people. So pinging enemies is realistically the only one that I've really seen. I know in higher elos, I'm assuming in comp, countdowns will be really useful when that comes out if you don't have voice chat, or if you're trying to do something. Other than that, I really wouldn't do anything. One thing that I've seen for higher elo scrims is a lot of people are rebinding their ping button so that way it doesn't actually ping the scroll wheel. If you go to additional communication, you can see that you can bind specific pings, and so a lot of people have been binding ping enemy. And so it does like a little exclamation mark if you don't ping it directly on where a person is.
That actually be very nice.
And the other nice thing that does that is that if you do end up holding it down a little bit too much and move your mouse, you're not going to have that issue where you open up a big wheel. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit better on the fly. That's the biggest binding or ping usage that I've seen that's been pretty optimal. Paz, if you have anything that you want to add to that, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't ping too much, but ping reasonably, like, before I dive is kind of what I was kind of thinking. So everyone is on the same page, and it just makes it that much simple. Also, there's other things. We should probably make a ping video.
That'd be a good video.
I was thinking about that, but I wanted to get an idea of what it's actually used for, and not just, like, defend here, do this.
Yeah.
But moving on from that, I personally have ping set to B. One, my thumb is already there. 2, it helps me to stop jumping, and holy shit, I need to stop jumping. Having my thumb on B instead of spacebar is really nice. Is that optimal? No, maybe. I don't know. I think it's okay. But I think the big thing is definitely I really like that idea with pinging it to what? Ping enemy for the scroll wheel. I think that's really smart. If you want to have the whole menu on B so you can still have it, I think I'm going to try that. My only thing was I wanted to have it not set to my mouse because it felt weird. I feel like I was missing shots because it was on my right hand instead of my left. Meanwhile, if it's on my left, I can just do it while I'm shooting. But I think it's just overall just something I need to get better at in terms of like getting used to it because it is new. I personally have it set to B. You can try it. I think the most significant one to answer your question will be just having the wheel on something else and just having the ping enemy on the scroll wheel. That sounds actually broken. Like that sounds like a hack. Like that actually is going to make pinging so much easier and more efficient and more accurate. And
and to add on a little bit, the main reason why people are pinging right now is to essentially show where people are. So if somebody slept, if somebody's in a flank angle that like nobody's seen, so if you didn't check your corners, that would be a good place to ping.
That would be a good place.
And then also just to see where they're typically set up is really the main 3 pings that I've seen. So people have put them on their mouse buttons or scroll wheel, but really it's just whatever most comfortable for you. You probably won't need to shoot too often while you're pinging, but like you don't want it to inhibit it for sure.
Okay. But I honestly, that was a good. I think that was really good right there. So I think that helped a lot. That helped me a lot even. So let's go on to the next one. All right, from Jimmy Jab. My general idea for improving is to just play Doomfist a lot to eventually get better, which makes sense. But how many other tanks should I learn, and how much compared to my playtime on Doom? Also, I don't know how easy this is to answer, but when it comes to timing engages or dives as Doom, I'm not sure when is a good opportunity to do so, and how should I? Guide recommendations could also help, but yeah, these are some big things I'm thinking about. Okay, so here's the thing. We talked about this whole idea of like practice time on characters earlier, in terms of like Widowmaker being 1,000 hours. Wow! Here's the thing. I think every single character requires roughly the same amount of playtime to get to the best you can possibly be on that character. Even if it's Mercy. Maybe a hot take. Maybe she's a little easier, but I think if your idea of like getting better at Doomfist is to get to your level as okay, again, it also matters where you are with other tanks as well. If you're just better at Winston, you might need to play more as Doom to get to that level as Winston. But that's all situational compared to how you are and how you feel on that character. For example, my Ana is absolutely insane compared to literally any of my other support characters. So I need to play a lot more on other support characters than I need to play as Ana to get to the same level. I mean, if that makes sense. That should make sense. But I mean, compared to what you should be playing on Doom, it really depends on how you feel your Doom is compared to your Winston, and then comparing the two, and then putting the applicable amount of time into that character. And Doomfist is still very strong. I think there will be metas in the future where Doomfist will be strong, so I think it is definitely worth your time to learn Doomfist right now. In terms of like how to understand when to engage with dives, I could answer that question, but I think Poke would have a better answer for me.
Yeah, I mean, so one thing to keep in mind, right, is that like when you're going in, you want to have that idea of like, do you have charge punch, yes or no? So right now we've seen Doomfist generally play a little bit of a slower style, looking to wait for optimal engages where they can get those like massive 5-man stuns, or like all on the enemy team, so that way they can look to like follow up. It's a very interesting playstyle. If you're really looking to try and understand that, I would go back to Overwatch League games and look at that. And then like the other thing to consider, just for improving, for the record, that Overwatch League game would be Houston,
Dante,
right? Dante or Atlanta Reign. They both have very good Doomfist right now. But for what's it called? For looking to understand how to improve, I think one thing to consider is that you may not just want to play a lot, but you might also want to like take a bit of time, like record some of your like Doomfist gameplay, go back and like look at it, right? Spend some time reviewing yourself. I think a lot of times like you'll look at how other people play and you'll be like, oh, that's really easy, like I can do that, right? But then if you go back and look at your gameplay, right, you might realize that you're not actually doing anything similar to the like those higher level players, and it can be really beneficial to go back and just look over that yourself and like do like a self-reflection, and sometimes that can be better than just raw playtime.
Yeah, I think playing with a purpose, I know I say that a lot in a lot of my other guides, playing with a purpose is the most important thing if you're trying to get better at the game as a whole. If you already understand that your whole goal is to get better at aiming, obviously you'll get better at aiming if you just play, but that also is a little, I mean, I think aiming with a purpose too is still important, and knowing like how you can train what specific types of aim. Like, if I struggle with hitting unscoped shots compared to scoped shots as Ana, I'm going to want to practice more unscoped in Vaxta. It's stuff like that. You want to make sure that you're always going into the session with an idea of what you want to get better at, and like you said, I think recording your gameplay and looking at what you're struggling with is the best way to do that. You'll get more out of your time, you'll get better faster, but at the end of the day, I think how much time you put in shouldn't be the main thing that you're worried about, unless like you don't have a lot of time, because if time isn't an issue and you're going to play the game for the next, I don't know, 10 years, so long as you're putting in good amounts of like good, well thought out and structured practice, it's going to make more of a benefit in the long run. And that's all I have for that one. I think we're good with that one.
Yeah.
But all right, let's move on to the next one. Field of Death, the new push maps. What are your thoughts? I know you have them. So I know, Poke, you don't know Field, but Field's like I would say he's a regular within our community. So we definitely had some conversations about push. Maybe it's because I don't fully understand push yet, but I do not like push at all. I wouldn't say at all. I just think there are definitely some things I need to learn about the mode that makes me not enjoy the mode, but I want to hear kind of how those tier 2 players feel about it, because I feel like they've had more structured practice.
I think push is really unique because I think it's the one game mode where you have to prioritize point more than like ever even considering winning a team fight for the most part. It's like it's one of those modes where like you really just have to like I think it's the most unique mode that they've added to the game.
I would say that.
And I think it's really interesting to see because I think the high tempo of it, as well as like there's a lot of like very niche ideas, such as like how you can actually control overtime to make it harder for the enemy team, and it's like as well as like spawn manipulation. There's like so many.
There's a lot into it.
There's so many new ideas that I think it's like right now it may not feel as good, but I think over time it will either become the most loved or most hated, and I don't know. I'm currently a big fan.
Okay, yeah. Let me rephrase my question, or not my question, my answer here. In quick play with randoms or in pugs, this game mode is terrible because no one knows what they're doing and it just feels like a shit show. 100%. It's all new. I think we can both agree that if you're not playing with a coordinated team or a team that is trying to like figure this game mode out, it sucks. Cause it's not like anything we have ever played in any other game. Like and the uniqueness of it makes it bad. Here's my thing. I kind of think that if I was playing in a structured team environment and I was fully learning this game mode and I knew the positions that I wanted to hold prior to it, because here's the thing, if I'm on New Queen Street and I'm like going around that corner and you know how there's that big high ground with the windows, if my team is not already up there, we're going to fucking lose. And we don't know to hold up there. So it sucks. It sucks, man. I don't like it because there's a way to play it, but you cannot play it currently because there's no competitive mode. So you know what? Maybe the push maps are really good. Maybe they are. Maybe I do really love them. I just haven't gotten to experience them in a way that is good. So here's my final verdict here. This game mode is going to be hated by everyone, even when the competitive mode comes out, because all the streamers still won't learn how to play it. But I think over time, that this game mode will have its day where everyone loves this game mode because everyone's going to learn how to play it, and it's going to feel unique, different, and how Overwatch 2 should feel. That is my take. But right now, it sucks. And that's my thoughts. And I know you know that I have them, and there you go. That's how you have it. Can I get a based or cringe? Based or cringe?
I think it's... I mean, you have to recognize that a lot of my experience and playtime have only been in that competitive environment. So,
yes.
like, I see it, I understand it. I may not fully agree, but I'll say it's based.
Right now, if I was in a structured environment, Poggers map, Poggers game mode. When I'm playing in quick play or competitive with people that don't know exactly how to play the map, cringe, not based, bad game mode.
Yeah.
But I think intrinsically good game mode. Right now, bad game mode. I think that's respectable.
Yeah. No,
okay.
I would agree with that.
And we'll agree. We'll move on an agreement here, because we're getting to the final comments here. How do you know when it's the right time to leave your team and to try to make a play like landing a big nade? Okay, I want to disconnect the landing a big nade here from the equation, just because that's going to make things very complicated to start with. Knowing when it's the right time to leave your team and to try to make a play. Let's just make this super basic and analyze that make a play, because I think making a play is something that no one talks about, but like the best players kind of understand. There are times when you have to make a play or else the fight is over. And this is something I've actually been working on, especially in collegiate, because in collegiate it's a lot more about just weird. There's a lot more room to carry in collegiate because it's kind of, there's a lot more what's the word I'm looking for? Disparity between the skills of all the players you're playing against. So the whole idea of making a play is, let's say that like in like I don't know, you in a brawl v brawl matchup in 6v6 or something, you've lost like your Reinhardt and your, I don't know, your Baptiste, and I'm playing like Cassidy. That is a moment where I've lost the two most important, arguably the two most important to the brawl, specifically the Rhine, in my opinion, in a very basic sense. I see you what facing me over there.
I'm not what facing you.
But anyway,
Go ahead.
It's
go ahead.
It's in a way you've lost people that are very fundamental and important to you winning that fight, and you need to do something now to salvage that fight, or else it will inevitably crumble. Because if you just try to sit there and do damage, it's just going to get blocked by Ryan's shield. It's just, you're not going to get anywhere, and since you don't have Ryan's shield, they're just running at you and you lose. So, I think the whole idea of knowing when it's time to make a play is usually when the fight is going south and you know it, and there's an opportunity for you to salvage and pop off, and you see that and you go for it. So, okay, as Ana, landing big nades, I wouldn't say that's how to make a play, because you should be hitting big nades as consistently as you can. You should be trying to look for anti-nades and being aggressive and making the first move and being aggressive and winning. And in terms of my play style, of how I like to play Ana, this might not be right, I think you should be trying to do that as consistently as possible. I think something... In terms of making a play as Ana, I think the more important ability to look at and study here is Nano Boost, and not using Nano Boost in a way that is conventional all the time, or playing by the book. Sure, maybe my Genji has Nano, or Blade, and I have Nano, but what if my Genji died? And this is a very important fight to win for maybe push, so that I can have a better position into the next fight, and I can set up my Genji Blade for next fight. Because maybe that fight after that, if you lose it, the Genji Blade's not going to do air. Or it's going to do air. So maybe I need to nano my Winston that's crit, so maybe he can get just enough ult charge to get a Primal Rage, and that's me making a play as Ana. Or maybe my Zenyatta, my Genji died who has Blade, and I was going to go for the Nano Blade, but now they have their Nano Blade ready. My Zenyatta or Lucio doesn't have Beat or Trans yet. I need to make a play and nano my other supports so they can live just long enough to get the Trans, and then we can switch, and we can flip the fight. That is the idea of making a play. Sure, nades could do that. I don't think that's the best way to look for it. And knowing the time to leave your team, that's super situational, and I really can't answer without having a situation to look at for you. But I think the idea of making a play here, I feel like, I mean, Poke2, I'm sure you have something to say about this, but I feel like I covered, to an extent, how it kind of works.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think the ideas that you said about Nade and Nano Boost are spot on. I think the other thing that you can consider is, like, you can use Nano to protect people or to play aggressively, and so it's like just understanding what's right for the situation. And then I think if you're looking to do it on other characters, right? Like I've seen like an Ana Genji without Blade, like 2v5 in this game.
Yes.
Like
Nano normal
properly.
Genji is actually kind of insane too.
Yeah, and so it's like
in a situation.
I think the biggest thing to consider is, like, what is the situation surrounding that fight? Are you gonna get another fight? Is the next fight going to be better? Like, if they just blew 4 ults and, like, you're down, like, 4, maybe it's not time to make a play, right?
Yeah.
Like, just
Yeah.
reset, right? But then, like,
Maybe
let's say, like, you know that they have a lot of ults going into that fight, but you start getting a major advantage early. Like, yeah, make that play. Make them feel like they need to, like, use more ults when the fight's already lost for them. Like, finding ways to, like, convert that idea of tempo that, like, Paz was talking about, playing very aggressively, that's going to be, like, what's really important, is when you need to force a team fight win when the situations are stacked against your favor.
Yeah. I think, I mean, on this channel, it's very hard on YouTube to teach people things that are not by the book, but the whole idea of the 3 words, yo, we need to make a play. That's what I'll say. I'll be like, yo, when it was Zen Brig, I'm like, yo, Ming, we're trolling right now. We need to make a play. And he's like, okay, and we'd flank, and it would work. We would win games because of that stuff. But you just can't teach it. You can kind of teach it, but it's very difficult. So, I mean, I hope this kind of answered your question, and I'll write this down, too, on my list of video ideas. The idea of making a play. It's very difficult to teach. I don't know what else to say, really, about this. I don't know. But I think we explained it well, but it's like, there's a certain point where you just need to put down the book, and you just need to do it. and you need to try it, and you need to learn it. Even in collegiate, for me, it took some time to learn, but now I can confidently see, I'm like, okay, dude, it's time for Paz to do the swag diff and make the play, boys. Like, let's do this. But I think this will definitely give you the framework needed to look into the concept. And for the sake of time, I mean, we're like 10 minutes away from an hour in here.
Oh my god.
I think that's good enough.
Yeah.
But I mean, go on.
The last thing to like sum it all up is like, you know, sometimes you'll fail and that's okay.
Yes.
It's just adapt and take that knowledge for next time.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I know most people aren't 4.4. At that point, yeah, people will hold stuff against you. But when you're in Diamond, dude, you want to make mistakes in Diamond. You want to troll. Because then in a month later, you'll be in GM, and then they won't even know who you are anymore. Like, in 4.4, it's a little bit different. But you know what? At that point, you just need to have that alpha mentality that I did not have, and just go for it and do it. But yeah, let's keep going on here. Let's move on.
Yeah.
PogChamp. All right. Okay, last question. From Karovi, how do I go about getting a girlfriend? It's very hard and they keep denying me because I play Overwatch. Does playing Overwatch make me unattractive? Please help! Okay, Poke. I can answer this question.
Yeah,
but you know what? No.
You.
I want to hear the PokeTude take because I feel I've made a video about this already. I've made the jokes. I've done the counseling for my fellow Overwatch players. I want to hear your take. Do you have a take?
You know what? I'm just gonna say it's not League, so I don't see the issue.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's not League.
Yeah.
That is true. Okay, so here's the thing, Karovi. Here's the thing, Karovi. You're a fellow content creator. I know this is partially a joke, but I'm gonna go with it. Okay. I don't think gaming makes you unattractive, bro. Here's the thing, right? There's a certain point where gaming's your entire personality, and you just need, you need to open up a little bit more. Like, here's the thing. I am a straight man. But when I look at a player like Gig, I'm pretty sure we can all agree. That guy plays Overwatch, and he's not unattractive. You know what? Like, he plays a lot of Overwatch, and he's an attractive man. I see no desire in him. But I think it's pretty base to say, yeah, he's a pretty attractive dude. So I don't think Overwatch is your problem here. I think if you go on your first date and you're like, yo, so I play Overwatch. I'm a 4.4K flex support. You know, I'm kind of a big deal. I kind of sit and play Overwatch. Maybe that's your problem. So here's what I'm gonna say to you. I think the best video for you to watch, which you already have watched because this was from 8 days ago. You should watch my How to Get a Girlfriend guide on my channel. It's helped out countless people in the community already. I think that video needs a little bit more recognition because, you know, I think it would help a lot of people out. But, you know, I don't think Overwatch is the problem. I think you just need to work on yourself a little bit more. And, you know, maybe 4.6K. Maybe if you can say that. Maybe you can say that on the first date. But, you know, I can't tell you that because I'm only 4.4. You know, 4.4 shit up. But you know what? Okay, I think that's the last. Okay, that is the end. Is there any parting words that you want to say, PokeTude, before we move on from this and go along with our days?
No, I think honestly we had a really we went way more in depth than I expected to, but yeah. I think we had some, I don't know. I feel like we hopefully should have been able to answer those questions and maybe give them a bit more info than they expected, but you know.
I feel like overall, if anything, this actually helped me a lot as well. I mean, there's a lot of things I learned today. The ping thing, video ideas, maybe some of my hot takes that are kind of cringe. You know, it helped me out a lot. I kind of like the style of video too. I mean, this is just something you can put on in the back. There's not a whole lot of busy stuff going on screen. And I mean, I'd love to have you back. And I mean, please let us know in the comments down below if you've gotten to this point, which I'm sure. If you're watching right now, you're probably subscribed to the channel for a little bit. I doubt anyone's gonna watch me talk to a screen for 55 minutes, but you know. But yeah, let me know if you guys want to see more of this, or if you want to see different people. I'll reach out to you and talk about that, because maybe we could get some players on this if it actually does well, because I think people would want to see that. But yeah, do you still do the coaching on AIM Labs?
Yeah.
Is there anything going on with that? Do you want to plug that?
Yeah, so I do private coaching. If you're interested in that, you can check me out at playerbase.com/c/Pokitude. Yeah, so if you're interested in getting coaching from me, that's a great place to check it out. You can also, I'm sure if you message Paz, he can probably get you the info, but it also hopefully will be somewhere in the video or description. Yeah, I've helped out a couple people in the community, I think, already, and I think all of them have been really productive, and yeah, I think somebody also is getting a free VOD from today. We can announce that in post at Paz. But yeah, and then it's discounted until August 1st, so make sure you get on that.
Yeah, if you guys, here's the thing. This is the source. I'm the messenger. Poke's he's the source. So I definitely, if you have the funds, if you have the time, if you're really serious about it, especially if you're trying to make it into Contenders, I think this is a fantastic opportunity. Poke is probably one of the, I mean, I haven't had that many coaches, but the best support coach I have ever had, and I have learned 20 million times the information when I was on attack mode compared to just playing the game. So definitely take this opportunity. You're dumb to not take it. Again, I'll put that in the description if I remember. You can look him up on Twitter. I'll invite you to the Discord if you're not in already, so that you can just, if you want to be in it, so that they can just directly look you up.
I think I'm already in it. Yeah. So you can find
he's
me
also in
Discord.
Discord. And if you want to join Discord and you forget his name, just DM me. I will send you right to him. Definitely a great opportunity. If you have the funds, go to him. I'm budget poke. I am budget poke. I will say that. I'm budget poke because I'm literally poke, but just not as smart. Because, I mean, I only know what I know from what he tells me. But if you don't have anything else, please go follow Poke, follow me, whatever, subscribe, blah, 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 if you haven't already. I appreciate you guys all for watching. Thank you for all the insightful comments. But until next time, we've got to peace out and Paz out. We'll see you in the next one.